Have you ever been the only one in the room who just doesn't get it? The big game is on, everyone is on the edge of their seat, and you feel absolutely nothing. Well, that feeling of being disconnected, it isn't some kind of personal flaw. It's actually a fascinating clue about how your brain is uniquely wired. You know the feeling. It's this weirdly isolating experience. The commentators are screaming, people are high-fiving, the air is just thick with tension. Everyone around you is plugged into this powerful frequency, but for you, it's just static. And for a long time, you've probably wondered, what's wrong with me? Am I just boring? Do I just not have any passion? We tend to internalize this idea that not caring is some kind of personal failure. But what if that whole assumption is completely wrong? What if your indifference is actually data? And that's the real heart of it. This isn't about your personality or your ability to feel joy. This is about neuroscience. It's about your brain's specific strategy for reward, for identity, for finding meaning. And once you understand that strategy, everything starts to make a whole lot more sense. To understand why you don't care, we first have to dig into the ancient brain wiring that makes so many people care so deeply. And this system goes way back. I mean, think about it. For thousands and thousands of years, being part of a group wasn't just a nice to have. It was literally life or death. Your tribe was everything. That deep primal programming didn't just go away. It just found new things to latch onto. And, well, sports teams with their colors, their rituals, their rivals, they're basically a perfect modern-day substitute. And get this, these reactions aren't just in their heads, they are physiological. A fan's brain literally releases oxytocin, the exact same hormone that bonds you to your family. Their nervous system treats the game like a real threat with real hormonal shifts, as if the victory or defeat was actually their own. Their brain doesn't know the difference between a symbolic win and a real one. Okay, so if that's the fan's brain, what in the world is going on in yours? Well, the difference often boils down to one crucial little chemical, dopamine. You know, the molecule of reward and motivation. You see, sports fandom runs on one of the most powerful psychological tools out there, intermittent reinforcement. The fact that you have no idea if your team is going to win is exactly what makes it so addictive. That constant uncertainty, that anticipation, keeps the dopamine flowing. It's the very same principle that makes the slot machine so hard to walk away from. And this right here is the key difference. Your brain might not be wired to respond to what we could call borrowed outcomes. While a fan gets that dopamine hit from a victory they just watched, your reward system might only fire up for highs that you personally created. You don't get the rush from the spectacle, you get it from making progress, from that deep focus, from mastering a new skill. It's not a lack of a reward system, it might just be a more discerning one. Now, this difference in our brain chemistry, it doesn't just shape what feels good, it actually helps build the very structure of our identity, who we believe we are. Psychologists have a fantastic name for this, BIRGing, which stands for Basking in Reflected Glory. Just listen to the pronouns a fan uses. After a big win, it's always we won, but after a tough loss, suddenly it's they lost. The self sneakily claims the victory but pushes away the defeat to keep feeling good. That's a really clever little mental trick, and in that little act of BIRGing shows the core difference in how identity can be built. For a lot of non-fans, identity is constructed from the inside out. It's based on your own values, your own skills, not on what some group did. Your self-esteem is probably more stable because it doesn't ride the roller coaster of external results. If you take the team away, you're still you. Your foundation is solid, with or without a scoreboard. Which brings us to probably the biggest misconception of all, that if you don't care about sports, you must be apathetic, that you lack passion. Well, the research points to the exact opposite. Think of your brain's attention span like cognitive real estate. You've only got so much space for the things you're going to deeply invest in, the things you track and remember and truly care about. And being a real fan isn't easy. It takes a huge chunk of that space to learn all the layers, the stats, the history. For many non-fans, the simple truth is that space is already taken. So the question really isn't why don't you care, it's what do you care about instead? Your passion didn't go missing, it's just been redirected. It might be poured into a creative project or an intellectual puzzle, maybe a social cause you believe in or mastering a really complex skill. You haven't opted out of caring, you've just concentrated it somewhere else. So, when we put all of this together, a few common mindsets start to emerge that really explain this different wiring, and you might just see yourself in one of these. First, there's the thinker, whose brain is just wired for that dopamine hit from personal progress. Then you have the realist, who has a really strong sense of fairness and just can't help but question a system where entertainers are valued so highly. There's also the active player, the person who loves to play but finds just watching to be passive and, frankly, a little boring. And finally, there's the disillusioned, who maybe once cared but saw through all the marketing and just felt it was kind of empty. When you look at it all this way, it becomes so clear that this isn't about you being out of sync with everyone else. It's about you playing a completely different game with a totally different set of rules for what actually matters. This is probably the most powerful way to reframe it. Your brain isn't broken. It's not failing to connect. It's running a filter. It's asking a quiet but really profound question about where to invest its most precious resource, its attention. And for you, when it came to sports, the answer was just a simple, logical no. And really, that's the final takeaway. This isn't a deficiency. It's a different and often more internally driven strategy for finding meaning, for managing your emotions, and for defining who you are in this world. So the next time you're in that room and the game is on, you don't have to fake it or feel weird. You can just know what you know, that while everyone else was busy borrowing someone else's story of victory and defeat, you've been quietly writing your own. And the best part about your story? It doesn't have an off-season.
If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button because we explore fascinating ideas like this every week.